wherever you are at this moment. The speed you are traveling is just under 585,000 miles per hour. The Earth is roughly 24,000 miles in circumference. We are 93 million miles from the Sun. We travel 584 million miles each year without taking a single step. The placement of our planet is precise. The planet would freeze or burn if it moved 0.001%. Each day, man and machine move weight that move our Earth out of balance. If the Earth would move, everything would be instantly frozen. There is an active counterbalance at work simultaneously and continuously by design. Shifting tectonic plates move whole continents every minute. Volcanoes are constantly moving the Earth's inner core to the surface in the ocean all over the planet. It's a living physical solution to numerous mathematical equations with exactly the right answer, with physical adjustments being made at the right time to prevent catastrophe. The Mississippi River discharges 640,000 cubic feet of water per second. At that rate, without evaporation, many coastal communities would go underwater. The balance of water flowing and evaporating is perfect. Thousands of living mathematical equations with the right answers. In the history of the world, man destroyed each other based on their beliefs. The evil empires would rise and fall. Countless died over the dominion of men. It would seem if there was a God. This human condition would not be allowed to go on like this. How could God let these people suffer? It was a strong case against God. With that mentality, we are free to do anything. But should we do that? The rebellion of the youth is in search of freedom. They play with the consequences of death. Some are spared and some are not. Their selfish decisions affect others. Suffering in catastrophe is the outcome of irresponsibility. The other path in life is of wisdom and responsibility. Understanding the laws of life. One example is the second law of thermodynamics. The contradictions about the origin of life were gone. The source of life, the Big Bang, religion and evolution. Many deny the truth of this scientific law. The entropy or disorder evolves from simple to more complex forms. If you deny this law, would you deny the law of gravity? There's more information in a seed than a tree. The complex information of a fertilized egg of a human is as complex as it's ever going to be at the moment of conception. It's more complex than the baby that grows into a child and then an adult. The entire DNA is already there in those tiny living cells. What significance does this law hold? It holds the answer to the question that everyone has an opinion about religion: the Big Bang, purpose, life, and death. Even with evidence of intelligent design, there are still those who won't believe. It becomes more of not wanting to believe that there is any force more powerful than man. No matter who you are, we all die just the same. Man has always been trying to find ways to avoid death. By design, our bodies, as well our planet, is constantly repairing itself from injury or damage with information found within. Not even the recent development of artificial intelligence has the capacity to repair itself with the information contained within itself. The term artificial intelligence suggests that the intelligence of a creator was input into that creation, and the ability to use that information is designed by some outside force. They will never stop trying to improve it until they achieve the impossible. Why not just live, love, laugh, grow old, and die? Does any problem without an apparent answer worth racking your brain? Even the most respected minds can't explain how life works. An incredible mind did the math and physics to design this planet. Then place it in the universe at the exact speed, distance, and balance. A higher intelligence requires a higher power. Endless calculations with answers and not opinions. It's a helpless realization of our insignificance. Scientists can't wrap their heads around it. We have to come to terms that the world doesn't revolve around us. There is freedom in realizing it. To have a perspective epiphany can be life-changing. The balance of nature is a living, ever-changing equation. Even the food chain in the sea, on the land, and in the sky must remain in the balance to ensure survival. The one minor exception is man. Modern humans have learned to manipulate almost everything. Sometimes it comes with a price. Humans have found many ways to solve problems. Most species eat, drink, and provide themselves to survive. Man wants to conquer more without consideration of those left behind. Man wants his own way to control his own destiny. Man doesn't want to answer to anyone. Some believe there is something or someone in the cosmos that will hold them accountable for their gain at others' expense. Others believe there is no God. There is only us, and we are the most powerful. That kind of thinking is short of both wisdom and knowledge. They believe that there isn't a creator responsible for the creation. What if the designer did everything for us to look for our source of life? To give thanks for the life and love taken for granted. The tragic story is many people don't. Life has become more complicated and distracting. We look for tomorrow and we don't enjoy today. In ancient or more primitive cultures, there seems greater evidence of honoring a higher power. Most civilizations had carved out images of things they believed could give them a spiritual awareness or protection. They offer honor in ceremony and sacrifice to the deity of their belief. Mystical legends of stories of creatures or gods passed down by generations. Groups of humans got larger and more civilized. They appointed leaders for themselves. The population depends and serves for their order and protection. A human face at the top made them more vulnerable to control the masses. Kings that had a higher power belief had less trouble. Temples were built for the ordained to receive wisdom and advise the kings. Kings controlled the masses with laws and religious principles. Religions were adopted to civilizations based on their culture and myths. The common premise was that God had chosen leaders with a divine reason. Man was told to not question authority. Questions were considered a threat and would bring judgment. When disaster or war would arise, the religious would see it as God's judgment. Such events caused people to examine themselves and their perspective. Heroic stories of great men and women of faith were told. To doubt or question your faith was taboo. We were instructed to just accept in faith and move on with life. Why was there no mention of an ice age or dinosaurs in the Bible? The story of Noah and his family surviving the flood. Why are there no miracles like the burning bush in old stories today? Why would the Creator sit by and watch the hypocrisy and suffering? Some people think God died or left us behind. It seems the driving force for the decline of civilization. It's harder to believe in something or have a purpose. Communication around the world is instant and to see their way of living. So many lifestyles and religions competing for the affection of people. We can see about any subject from anywhere on the planet. Our greatest question is, how did we get here? Biological science has hundreds of theories with only a few facts. They can't find the missing link to our origin. Billions of dollars and hours spent on research that was false. Java man was the only thing science owned as proof of man evolving from apes. The remains were found in Java, Indonesia by Eugene Dubois. Eugene was an apprentice of evolutionist Ernst Haeckel. Research and theories of universities were assumed and confirmed by biologists. It could not be proven, and they tried to cover the biggest lie in the history of biological science. The story broke that Eugene Dubois and Ernst Haeckel created the Java skull. Java man was already a subject of more than 80 books and articles. Besides the Java man, there are other fossils that scientists say confirm evolution. Later studied by paleontologists, they are dismissed as hoaxes and fabrications. The theory that man evolved from apes had no proof. False discoveries were written in books. The scientific community would try to cover up lies about their facts. Facts are the basis of science. It's a war between science and religion. The need to be right and control of authority. Man doesn't want to be held accountable to a higher authority. The intelligent force that designed us surpasses our understanding. If the Creator is the scientist, and we are the experiment, it's up to us to stop the suffering around the world. If the scientist manipulated the experiment, he is no different than the hoaxes of false facts. It's up to man to solve the problems of humanity with wisdom. We make social and educational programs with our own laws. We go to war for peace with no value for human life. We've become fools who need to conquer. We're setting up our doom as we sit and watch. In all human history, tribes and nations have risen and fallen. What happened to these great civilizations? Many were conquered for land and treasures. Today, we are becoming a one-world economy that depend on each other. Countries govern their people with rules of fair trade and human rights. Wars are more complicated with technology as the weapon and the target. For the majority of history, man fought with sticks and rock. The gun has only been around 300 some years. Today, computer technology runs most of our lives. We depend on computers to run and operate properly. Enemies try to take each other's grid down. That would lead to total anarchy in a short amount of time. To nearly every problem there is a solution. People who offer solutions are attacked by forces with no common sense. Evil divides families, businesses, churches, and nations. All life has to be balanced or it falls apart. The only hope is to stop this political correct landscape and solve problems. We must change our condition before we can't reverse it. Human nature finds fault in other people before ourselves. Humans don't seek the truth or what to deal with it. Children today have luxuries and lack discipline. Children must learn to serve and respect to ensure a better future. We want to be comfortable more than to contribute to the world. There are people who use their gifts and achieve things beyond their dreams. Their drive to achieve, discover, and create has rewards for all mankind. Think about what we didn't have 150 years ago. In 150 years, we went from no modern conveniences to having everything. The more we invent, the more we thrive. Everyone benefits from the contributions of the few. Without generosity, millions would be lost or left behind. This demonstrates the real heart of the human species. Many have become dependent of support from the government. They will never enjoy the reward and satisfaction of being self-sufficient. Those in power grow in greed and control. Those who fought for independence knew that all men are equal. We all have the right to pursue happiness and prosperity. People don't want to be controlled, but they must remain in order. The key is balance or a destructive course. There are people that believe a cashless society would bring peace. There are leaders that want to bankrupt us and depend on them. The country is divided by agendas and destructive ideals. We must learn the mistakes of the past to not repeat them. There were solutions to civilizations and nations for hundreds of years. These solutions should be offered freely without judgment. Provide equality and opportunity for every person to do their part. The budget of the nation for welfare is not being used to solve problems. Billions are spent for the homeless and the helpless. Those in poverty have more children and can't sustain themselves. This dependency has produced the largest number of people living in poverty, more than any non-dictator, communist system in the history of our planet. Everyone needs responsibility and discipline to prosper. These things should be taught in schools to build independence. People glorify poverty as if it's something holy. Reflect on history and see the reality of today. Our children will face the horrors that are caused by ignorance. Most of us never had to live through a war. Death is permanent and there is no restart button. 5.6 billion people live in countries where the income is less than $2 a day. There are 79 million new babies born into poverty each year. Only 1 million are rescued successfully. We have the science of problem solving, but we don't use it for others. Millions suffer because of the lack of responsibility or refusal of help. There are thousands of documented religions around the world. Many all lead to a God and their intention is pure. Born into the heart of humans is a void that needs purpose and love. Our world is filled with so many distractions that want to fill the void temporarily. God is not hiding from us. He has designed, built, and set us here to be amazed at His wonders. It doesn't matter who you are. You can look at the stars and face eternity. Eternity, like our universe, has no beginning and no end. You refuse to believe in God because of a bad experience or bad opinion, or you are afraid of what happens when you die and try to turn it off. Remember, the second law of thermodynamics states that nothing left unattended evolves into a more complex state. Therefore, we couldn't have evolved from a simpler form as a planet or species. Science suggests and validates that there is a creator. There's only one man who claimed to be the creator, God in the flesh, Jesus. He instructed to love God and love their fellow man. Many people said they know the way, but only Jesus said, "I am the way." He proved it by dying and walking out of his grave after 3 days. The religious leaders hated Jesus because his words affected their greed. His message was so simple any common person could understand it. Jesus told the religious leaders that they robbed of widows and orphans. The religious leaders brought Jesus to the Romans to execute. What was wrong with the church that God was not welcome there? Jesus knew the problem of the church, but he liberated people from their religion. When the nation or church controls its members, the people lose their will. What if man did not have the hope of immortality after this life? Would we live it differently? What if we knew there was a God, but no life after death? There is so much competition for the hearts of people seeking love and purpose. Without faith and hope, we are shallow. God desired us to live with passion and purpose in this planet. Like a parent who gets pleasure watching their children play and grow. The parent that gets filled when the kids look at them, smile and hug. It's man who messes up the balance of nature with control and power. It only took 6 chapters into the first book of Genesis. God looked at man and saw that his heart was on evil continually and said, "I'm sorry I created them." A good parent who gives their life and everything and their child grows ungrateful, careless, and reckless. Like nature without attendance, the human condition falls apart. God is trying to save us. It's a love story of death and rescue. If you choose not to be rescued, you won't be. God has never kept anyone against their will. Jesus took the bullet for us so that we can live again. If that fact alone and the evidence of a creator doesn't move you toward God, something is wrong with your processor. History and nature has cycles, but the results are not new. One of the wisest men in history, King Solomon, said, "There is nothing new under the sun, only new discoveries of what has always been." Having an eternal perspective changes the way you see every aspect of life. Escape the corruption of darkness to a life of love. Love always seeks the best for the person whom it holds dear. Receive the gift God paid for because He just wants to be loved in return. Desire to love your Creator as an honor and privilege. Realize it's not about you, but something bigger and for others. Remain in awe of everything He has given us. The Creator and Father does all things out of love. We were created with free will by God. We can ignore the facts and wonders all around us, or we can bring Him joy by showing our appreciation and love to Him and others. You are important to the Creator. The facts of science are held by the infinitely intelligent force of God. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Everything is in God's hands, so begin now. Don't let anybody or anything rob you of the highest privilege to mortal men. Start now and you'll find Him. The more you find, the harder you'll look because it changes you. You can live every day connected to the power source. The eternal perspective will transform you from a mortal to immortality in Jesus. If you choose not to, life is all you have. The science of God is life and love.